we're going to go to the next caller now. The next caller, I'm going to bring them in. Let's see here. All right, Nikusha, welcome to the show. You should be audible now, and I think your question was about strategy-wise, how could you sell a population the idea of getting rid of the state when surrounding countries are quite colonialistic? So, in particular, I think what you're asking is um, a question about fear, if I'm being fair, and it sounds like you're saying, what if we don't want to abolish the state because we're afraid that a neighboring state is going to predate upon us if that happens? Is that the question? Is that fair?
Yeah, essentially, that is the question. First of all, thank you for having me. And also, I would like to add like some additional context. I don't know how relevant that would be to the question, but it's like brainwashing has been happening in my country for generations about the exact same thing all the time. So I think, and I mean that this fear, fear mongering, whatever you want to call it, we've been taught the exact same thing from a very young age, that your neighbors, your neighbors, your neighbors, and the history reflects it. So I'm honestly struggling to come up with like sort of selling points other than our theory being true, that would sort of entice the population to actually have the desire to get rid of the state. But in all essence, if we strip down the question to its bones, yeah, that is the question.
Yeah, I feel like Zulu's got this one.
Sure. So yeah, if basically the main prong on this issue is that free market defense simply is far superior to any state collective defense. Now, this comes from general economic theory. We get this from the Austrian school, right? And any like centrally planned defense, they cannot be efficient with that. And furthermore, there's just no incentive for them to be efficient with this. You see all these stories where they'll like be like a screw that they use on some jet in the military. It's a military grade screw, right? Military grade means as cheap and shitty as they can possibly manage. And it'll be like, this screw costs like $60,000, right? And we need like 2 dozen guys to offload a helicopter when the free market can do it with like 2 guys, right? These inefficiencies are all over the military. Big inefficiencies everywhere because it's a collectivist system. That's fundamentally the main point. Like, if you had an actual free market defense system in place, good fucking luck trying to invade that, right? The biggest military the world has ever seen. Look at the U.S. military, by the way. Look at the track record for the past few wars they've been in. Afghanistan, they were in the Afghanistan war for like what, 2 decades. The result, the Taliban's in control of Afghanistan. They were in Iran for many years. Is the U.S. currently in control? Sorry, not Iran, Iraq. I get them confused. They're in Iraq for many years. They're not in control of Iraq currently, right? You look at fucking Vietnam War. Who won that one, right? Did the U.S. manage to take control of Vietnam? Not really, right? Their track record isn't good for having the most well-funded military in all of human history. So I don't think foreign state militaries are too much of a concern to really bother yourself with. It's really, and these were not even free market defenses. These were mostly also collectivist, but guerrilla defenses. So if you had a free market guerrilla defense, like, please try and invade that. Like, I'd like to see you try. You sail your aircraft carrier up, and it gets like evaporated by space laser before it gets there. Like, good luck. You know.
Yeah, well, I certainly feel calmer after listening to that.
Perfect. I'm glad to hear that. I want to add one thing too, because I think Zulu hit the nail on the head. I want to speak to a common concern that people have, which is a question that sounds like this. And Zulu, not along if you've heard this before, but if you have free market defense, can't a state just pay them, not to defend you, or can't they just be corrupt or anything like that? Understand that we're not suggesting that a free market is some sort of invincible entity in and of itself, which once established is unassailable. We're saying that the more voluntary a society is, the better it is. And like Zulu's been saying, the philosophy of the day is an inseparable aspect of how voluntary a society is. And so it's not only the more voluntary it is, but the more rational, let's say, a society is, the better off they're going to be. So you could imagine perhaps that by chance a tribe of cavesmen become a free market in some sense, right? So they have a free market. We've seen free markets all throughout history, so let's just imagine a really primitive one. Um, but they also have some shortcomings, let's say. So they participate in rain dancing and they believe those kinds of things. So inherently, they're just vulnerable to exploitation because they think they can rain dance invaders away. Um, we recognize that the less rational a society is, the less likely it is to be successful. And if you have a hypothetical where, okay, we have private defense, but no one in the entire society that's privately defended believes in the principles of liberty. They don't believe in non-aggression principle, and they're all just completely opportunistic, short-sighted, instant gratification degenerates. Um, and I'm not trying to be like cultural here when I say degenerate. I just mean like they're just instant gratification. Then it's entirely possible that some external institution like a state could come in with money and say, okay, just lay down your weapons and you're gonna be a province of ours now. And because you've hypothetically assumed that they're all just, well, the way I've described them, is that probable in that hypothetical? Of course it is. But it's important to remember that we're not suggesting a free market can't come about and suffer from inadequate rationality. We're saying the more rational things are, the better they're going to be. The more voluntary they are, the better they're going to be. We are not trying to promise you anything at all, really, and but certainly not that. Don't worry. Once you're a free market, you're invincible. We're trying to show how important it is to be rational and how important it is to be a participant in a voluntary society. And I think that'll be the bow that I'll put on it. Zulu and Nakusha, if you guys want to have the last words, and then we can move on to the next caller.
No, not really. I sort of understood what you were getting on. Thanks.
Perfect. All right. Thanks so much for calling. And please feel free to call again if you have any other questions. We are here every week, and we enjoy talking with you.